Welcome to DU Digimon. BT21, a protagonist set that ironically has the same numbers as the last protagonist set, that just flipped around. Coincidence? I think not! In this set, you've got all your favourite goggleheads from the past 25 years of Digimon history. You've got the first one, the OG, then there's the Temu version of the first one, then there's the one who likes to draw, the one who likes to cosplay, the one who says goggles get in the way of his punches, the one who gets replaced after 2 seasons by his own Temu version, then there's this guy, and then the one with the bowl cut. Now, each of these protags have traditionally stuck to their own archetypes, but what if I told you that you could run your very own Avengers Assemble type Digimon deck? A deck that personifies the ending of Digimon Fusion plus the guys that hadn't been made yet. What if I told you about the Hero deck? But pray tell, is a deck that slaps together so many traditionally separate archetypes any good? It's time to find out if this deck is baked or busted. Now, to do that, we can't just look at a single card from the archetype. No, we are going to have to look at every available support card for the deck, as well as different ideas of what the deck could be. I've played around and tested with most of the lists we'll be looking at in this video, but not all of them. And to be fair, we'll only be taking quick glances at the list as a whole, as we're really here to discuss the pros and cons of this deck from a card-by-card basis. Of course, when looking at the deck, we're going to need to start with Tai, and we'll be looking at each of the different protags in order of appearance. Tai brings forth 3 hero-traded cards to the archetype: the ST20 Ogumon, the ST20 Wargreymon Ace, and the BT21 Tai Kamiya. Ogumon lets us warp into Wargreymon under the right conditions, which is something of a running theme among some of these rookies, and gives the inheritable of Reboot, whilst Wargreymon presents itself as the deck's only Ace Digimon. For a more in-depth look at Wargreymon Ace, make sure to check out our previous episode of Bait or Busted, in which we looked at Wargreymon and Metalgarurumon Ace. Tai is an interesting card. He, like Wargreymon, is objectively more effective in the Adventure deck than in Heroes because of his interaction with Tamer colours. The Tamers in the Hero deck ultimately share more colours between each other than what we see in Adventure. All of them share the colour red, and then also share either yellow or purple, save for 2. Tai, who is white, and Davis. Stingy Davis. Davis would add another colour to the deck, but his effects only help armour form Digimon, and not heroes. You're a cunt, Davis, a stingy little cunt, and he is joined by the equally stingy Magnamon. Yeah, you're a cunt too, but at least Vmon supports the hero cards, right? Well, yes. But his Your Turn effect and Inheritable are shared by the other rookies in the deck. Keep trying, little buddy. Moving on to Digimon Tamers, Takato only brings 2 hero-traded cards with him to the deck, himself and Guillamon. Takato has the issue of sharing his dual colours with 2 other Tamers in the deck, but can give blocker to your heroes, which could open some shenanigans when paired with the reboot from ST20 Ogumon. Guillamon shares his colours with one of the other rookies in the deck, and shares a similar Draw 2 effect to boost your consistency. He also has an inheritable effect to gain 1 memory upon deletion, which you can take some small advantage of in the deck. But he's mainly here for that draw power. From Digimon Frontier, Takuya comes forward as one of the few single-colour Tamers in the deck, which is not great for your synergy with Tai and Wargreymon, but he does add a great start of main effect that lets you Digivolve more efficiently, reducing the Digivolution by 1 for each differently named red Tamer, an effect that works just as well, if not better, in the Emperor Greymon deck. Takuya, loving his cosplay, can quick change into a Gunimon, who of course can also Digivolve on top of any of your other Tamers. A Gunimon also allows for your stack to get bigger, slotting something underneath himself or one of your Tamers with inherited effects, which does synergize with one of your other micro strategies, but we'll get to that. He also can Digivolve into a hybrid or hero trait Digimon for 1 less cost when attacking, which can miss timing with one of your level 5 Digimon, but we'll get to that too. Marcus, the least goggled gogglehead because, you don't wear goggles in MMA, brings himself BT20 Ogumon and BT21 Shine Greymon. The Ogumon has the similar warping effect to the other Ogumon and gives us a 2k boost as the inheritable, and Shine Greymon gives us a big raider that can get bigger and gain sec +1 by suspending one of your Tamers. Marcus is of course the intended Tamer to suspend with the Shine Greys effect, giving piercing to one of your hero trait Digimon whilst also making one of your Digimon bigger and one of your opponent's Digimon smaller. Takeru brings the most cards with him to the archetype with 5 cards. He brings himself, Shoutmon, Shoutmon King version, Omni Shoutmon, and a new Cross 7 Superior mode, the Dex level 7. Takeru does give us somewhat of a memory and draw engine, whilst also providing us with a blitz-like effect when one of your hero trait Digimon is played or digivolves. Shoutmon has the same cost reductive effect as Vmon, but has a more stingy inheritable, giving rush to your cross-heart Digimon, which to be fair is fairly widespread throughout your line. The King version gives us another boosting inheritable and lets us save himself and one other hero card under one of your tamers when he's deleted. Omni Shoutmon, our first level 5, has the same inheritable as the regular Shoutmon, but has a very interesting end of attack in which you can play out one of your heroes for a reduced cost of 5. By doing so, you must then delete the Omni Shoutmon, but he has the same on-deletion effect as the King version and will net you a cheeky 1 memory if Gearmon is in your stack. Then there's Superior Mode, a card which has one of the more odd effects in the game. Odd in that it's never been really seen before, and not because it's bad. It's actually kind of busted, trashing the 10 top stacked cards of one of your opponent's Digimon, essentially performing a super de-digivolve. He can then remove a Digimon with no sources from the field with his when attacking effect. Also, interestingly, to make this card work in the deck, he can only digivolve on a hero trait Digimon. He must be crossed into the Cross Heart deck and cannot digivolve on top of anything else other than a hero trait Digimon. Takeru is next, bringing the full line of Gumdramon to the hero deck. He, like Takeru, gives us a memory and a draw by placing something underneath him. He also lets you digivolve more cheaply into your hero Digimon by placing cards from under your tamers under the Digimon. Gumdramon has a similar drawing effect to that of Gearmon, but boosts DP with his inheritable effect. Arrestadramon plays out any hero trait tamer, irrespective of how many tamers you have on board, and is your main way of playing tamers in the deck, although both Tai and Takuya can also contribute to that too. Arrestadramon Superior Mode is the card I mentioned earlier that can miss timing with a Goonimon. Essentially, if you use a Goonimon to digivolve into Superior Mode, you cannot utilise the when digivolving effect of Superior Mode, because Superior Mode attacks without suspending with its when digivolving effect, and you cannot initiate a second attack with a Digimon you are already attacking with. Otherwise, it is one of the spookiest cards in the deck, getting absolutely massive with its Your Turn effect, along with all of the 2k inheritables. It also has Raid and Piercing, just to give all that DP some purpose. Now, something that I've realised is pretty funny in the deck is Team Digimon Fusion's penchant for placing your Digimon underneath your tamers. At first, I thought this was quite lame in this deck. We have no tamers that can allow us to cross using materials under our tamers. But you can pretty much put any of your hero trait Digimon under your tamers, meaning you can set up super stacks that get their payoff when you digivolve into a Goonimon, which is pretty funny. Then there's this guy. Good old... what's his name? Haru! His name is Haru. More like, who you? Am I right? Joking aside, Haru brings with him 3 hero-traded Appmon. Gatchmon, Go Gatchmon, and Globemon. And the Appmon are interesting when we're thinking about playing them in the hero deck. The gimmick of the Appmon is that they link with one another, and to do that, you kind of need as much access to that mechanic as possible. By placing them in the hero deck, which is quite funny because I'm talking about using link monsters in a hero deck for the second time in my life, you are limiting yourself to only 12 cards maximum with the link mechanic. Enough to use the mechanic for sure, but not very consistently, which, to be fair, is also an issue when it comes to the cross mechanic Digimon in the deck. In theory, though, you definitely can make some interesting plays with these guys. Gatchmon gives Raid, you could potentially play the Go Gatchmon out with Tai and it has Rush, and Globemon is a very beefy pseudo-boss monster. But making the Appmon work in this deck, at least for me, was a bit of a headache. And Haru is kind of completely useless in the hero deck because all he does is net you 1 draw. You cannot actually app fuse in this deck because you don't have the necessary Appmon available. Our final tamer is of course Hero from Ghost Game, and Hero is one of the best resource tools that the deck has access to. Not only giving you a memory at the start of main, which he shares with a couple of the other tamers, but also netting us a memory and a draw when a Digivolution card is added to one of your Digimon, synergizing brilliantly with a Goonimon and Takeru, as well as one of the cards that Hero brings with him from Ghost Game. Speaking of, the first of the 2 Digimon that Hero brings with him is Gammamon, who is pretty much identical to BT21 Agumon. Then there's Siriusmon, And Siriusmon, for me, might be tied with Wargreymon Ace as the best level 6 the deck has access to. He has a non-once per turn when digivolving when attacking effect to place a card into his sources and delete one of your opponent's lowest DP Digimon. This, coupled with Raid and Security Attack +1, makes him an absolute powerhouse given he adds to his own stack. Now, with this many tricks available to the deck, this deck must be busted. Right? Well, no, not really. The issue with this deck lies in the fact it's such a big mix of different archetypes. Some of the cards in the deck synergize really well, but others feel like they're either only putting in half effort, or in the case of Davis and Magnamon, put in no effort at all. There's definitely a lot of variety to how you can build the deck. You could attempt a more defensive version, utilising more of your control effects, as well as the reboot from ST20 Agumon and the blocker effect from Takato. You could attempt to maximise aggression, utilising as much rush as you can muster, and attempting to use Globemon as your pseudo-boss monster. Or you could go for a list that maximises efficiency whilst balancing aggression and control. This is ultimately what I have settled on, with the list you are looking at on screen as the current list I am running. So in conclusion, is the hero deck any good? Nah. At least, not in the grand scheme of things. It's very fun, and that can often mean far more than any amount of meta relevancy, at least for me, but it's hard to balance, hard to synergize, and may even be harder to physically build given that all of the tamers are super rares or higher. I'm still going to build this for the bants, and let me know if you would like to see a full deck profile of this one. But, yeah, though I may still be building the deck, this deck ultimately gets the final verdict of bait. It's too messy, struggles with consistency and synergy, given it has no searches despite all the draw power, and a lot of the cards don't fully support one another. It's also going to be a potential pain to build, and given the sporadity of the hero cards, it's not clear as to whether the deck will get more support. All of the individual decks will, of course, but will Bandai really print them all with the hero trait going forward? That remains to be seen. I hope you like this more essay style of video. It's not a format we do often, but it was pretty fun scripting this out and definitely makes for a change from our usual content. If you did like this content, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this, as well as all of the other stuff we do. We'll be launching our BT21 tier list vote later this week, so be sure to keep an eye out for that when it does come out. But until we see you again, keep it digital. You're a can't, Davis. A stingy little can't.